On July 5th, Jassy became only the second CEO in Amazon's history. The 53-year-old Amazon veteran is taking over the top job after 15 years spent growing the Amazon's cloud unit into a $40 billion business. Once Amazon founder Jeff Bezos passes the torch, Jassy oversees one of the world's most valuable companies and one of its largest employers. So can Jassy keep Jeff Bezos' spirit of day one, or just going to start at day two? Jeff Bezos has served as the CEO of Amazon since founding the company exactly 27 years on July 5, 1994, and now he has officially stepped down from the role. Bezos said at the Amazon's annual shareholder meeting that, "We choose the day because it's sentimental for me, the day Amazon was incorporated in 1994. So now the new chapter of Amazon is started." Jassy is now listed as the company's CEO after previously having run Amazon Web Services since 2003, while Bezos is listed as executive chair. It's a very important moment for Amazon, which has had the same CEO for entirely of its existence. Under Bezos' leadership, the company survived the dot-com bubble bursting in the late 90s to become one of the world's most prominent technology companies. Amazon currently dominates online commerce in the US and part of Europe and served as a backbone to much of the modern web thanks to the Amazon Web Service. The end of 27-year tenure. Bezos' successor Jassy joined the company shortly after graduating from Harvard Business School in 1997 and has led the Amazon Web Service since the team was founded in 2003. He was officially named the division of the CEO in 2016. At the end of 2020, Amazon Web Service controlled around a third of the total cloud computing market, which is about as much as close as rival Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, who previously ran the company's Azure cloud business. Bezos is handing Jassy, a company with ambitions extending far beyond the electronic books. The e-commerce and the cloud computing giant is also a company that's willing to make the big bets on the new area of businesses. Amazon is a sizable player in the consumer technology thanks to its range of Kindle, Echo, Ring, and Air devices, as well as general consumer goods under its Amazon Basic label. It has an expanding presence in physical retail after its acquisition of Whole Foods and the launch of its own Amazon Go and Amazon Fresh stores. And when it comes to entertainment, it recently made the biggest acquisition ever with the purchase of film and TV company MGM for $8.45 billion. There's also Amazon Music and video game division, which Jassy has previously expressed his support for despite its rocky history. And don't forget those investments in healthcare and fashion. As the world's richest man, Bezos won't be fading into the obscurity anytime soon. He's staying on the Amazon executive chair, where he said that he will stay engaged in important Amazon initiatives. And he also said that he plans to dedicate more time and energy to other initiatives such as Day One Fund and Bezos Art Fund Foundations and its Blue Origin space company. Jassy, who succeeds Jeff Bezos as Amazon's chief executive on July 5th, is stepping into the company's corporate religion: put customer first, move fast, be frugal. He shares his boss's competitive stake and mistrust on conventional wisdom. But Jassy, the new leader, is not the Jeff Bezos clone. So Amazon led by the Jassy will be different from that of the Bezos. Then let's get hint from Jassy's letter to every Amazonian on his day one as the CEO. Jassy is going to steer Amazon from now on, which has mushroomed into $1.7 trillion company with 1.3 million employees and worldwide operation in e-commerce, logistics, cloud computing, entertainment, and devices. Amazon, which has been riding a wave of growth, also faces mounting challenges. In Europe and United States, the Seattle-based company is under scrutiny from regulators and lawmakers for its power. Its own workforce has become increasingly vocal and active in dealing with the company. And with its sheer size, some investors and employees wonder whether Amazon can maintain its innovative ways without bureaucracy bogging it down. Jassy was not spoken publicly about his vision for Amazon, but those who know him said what was clear was that he would continue what Bezos has built and not make a sharp break from it. As the epitome of the Amazon lifer, Jassy helped convince and proselytize many of the company's mechanisms and internal culture. But like I said already, Andy Jassy is not the clone of Bezos. There must be a significant differences from now on. We can find 4 points from Andy Jassy's first company-wide email as the Amazon CEO. At first, keep customer obsession. Whether speaking in Amazon or in public, Jassy is disciplined, echoing Bezos' PNs to customers. Jassy joined Amazon in 1997, the same year the company went public. Jassy is a close confidant of Bezos and learned the ropes at his side. Jassy served as a shadow advisor to Bezos at one point, joining the chief executives in a high-level meeting. And most importantly, Jassy is the guy who built the Amazon customer obsession, working backward and all the other so-called Amazon spirit. So Amazon's rule number 1, customer obsession, will be stronger and enhanced. It can be easily found from the Jassy's letter to all the Amazonians on his first day as the CEO. Working at a company that starts with a customer and evolves its strategy and tactics backward from there is unusual. Many companies claim they will do this, few actually do. Amazon is rare this way. We're also inventors. If you want to change outcomes for customers, you have to be willing to constantly invent and reinvent, even if it means sometimes cannibalizing your own businesses. We've shown a willingness to make bold, innovative, long-term bets to make customer lives better. And he adds that few people wake up thinking, I want my items to come more slowly, or I want my customer experience to get stale, or I want to work at a company that moves slowly. Moving quickly to understand what matters to customers, solving their problems, making their lives easier, and continuing to invent on their behalf are at the heart of our culture and will remain so. And second, relentless focus on details. Andy Jassy can be more reserved than Jeff Bezos. He deliberately waits until everyone else in the room has spoken in the meeting room before chiming in with questions. Whereas many executives fear Bezos' scorching assessment if we dislike their presentations, Jassy is measured. Even when expressing dissatisfaction, the people said, I've never seen him speak in a way that anything but calm. Amazon executives write emails from Bezos with a question mark, but Jassy's most common response to the email is nice. He has become so known for the response that some Amazon Web Service employees make stickers with a CEO's face on them with a conversation bubble from his mouth saying nice. However, Andy Jassy is demanding. At the weekly wheel meeting, Jassy and his deputies would ask points, in-depth questions of whichever manager or team member was picked. They initially used a handmade spinner like those used in board games or game shows, but later adopted the computer algorithms when there are too many divisions to include. Some employees call it the firing squad, and some called it a wheel of death. When Andy Jassy is displeased with an employee, he can leave very pointed feedback, though he'll often follow up with a conciliatory email later. Jassy doesn't yell in the meeting but can very pointed. Mr. Jassy doesn't yell in the meeting but can get very pointed in his critics, especially if he feels someone is not taking the problem seriously enough. The guy has a sense of urgency that I've never seen in my life, said the former executive. Though some former employees says Jassy is more even-keeled with employees than Bezos, who has been known to explode in meeting if the executives seem ill-prepared. They also says he is at least as intense and competitive. And while Bezos for the past several years has largely governed with a hands-up approach, Jassy is known for digging into the minutiae of his division. Amazon Web Service, sometimes to a degree that baffles his underlings, according to the former employees. He did everything from pitching potential customers and guiding technical changes to choose the music at the company events and editing press release. It was more difficult to reserve a spot on Jassy's calendar than it was with any other top executives reporting to Bezos. He's got just phenomenal focus on details, says James Hamilton, an Amazon vice president who has worked with Jassy for more than a dozen of years. That relentless focus on details is truly unique. The third, more perspective. Most reports suggest that Jassy is just as competitive as Bezos. Is also known to focus on small details and ask intense questions of his team during the presentation, just like Bezos. There are, however, important differences between the two, and it has everything to do with the way they view Amazon. Mostly, Bezos is the founder and Jassy starts from employees. Both of them are really the insider of the company, but the starting point is very different. Andy Jassy is about as much as insider you can get at Amazon. He's one of the company's earliest employees, and working at Amazon has defined his entire career. He's not an outsider. Except, he's also not Jeff Bezos. Jassy has a far better understanding of how work fits into people's lives. More specifically, Jassy understands that, for the most people, work and not work are two different things. It hasn't always been clear that Bezos understands the distinction. Bezos even described his distaste for the idea of work-life balance in his book, Invent and Wonder. I get the question about work-life balance all the time. I don't even like the phrase work-life balance. I think it's misleading. I like the phrase work-life harmony. Jassy, on the other hand, once told the employees, "We are not put on the earth to work, at least not entirely." The point was that he seems to have something that his former boss may have lacked: perspective. That's gonna be important as he takes over one of the largest and most important companies on the earth. It's especially important as the company faced intense scrutiny over everything, from how it treated workers at its distribution centers, to the way it interacted with the third-party members who make up the majority of the sales on its platform, to the antitrust concerns from regulators and lawmakers. Then let's take the point from the email. "I just want you to know that you, my fellow Amazonians, matter a lot to me. I started at Amazon when there were just 250 employees. We now have more than 1.2 million employees. It happened fast, especially over the last decades as our business have grown. At our size, at the pace, we are trying to move for the customers, and with our penchant for experimenting, we won't get everything right. We have issues that we need to work on. Some we can solve quickly, others will take longer. But please know that I care, and that we'll work together to make Amazon better every day." The fourth, social responsibility. Experts might argue that this is the wrong time for the leader to pick up and leave, but Bezos says this is the right time to hand over the reign. He said in the announcement, "Right now, I see Amazon at its most inventive ever, making an optimal time for this transition." There are many reasons Bezos would choose to leave at this point of time. Some analysts have pointed out that the company is undergoing regulatory scrutiny for its size and how it related to the workers. But it could be a great step for Amazon. Jassy is coming in when Amazon is on top, instead of Bezos riding the high and potentially getting stale, and he can bring a fresh perspective to keep leading it forward. Andy Jassy also noted this point in the email. "We are working to create a more sustainable planet with the climate pledge, are committed to bring net zero carbon by 2040, and we are now the world's largest buyer of renewable energy. Last month, we committed $150 million to empower Black-owned businesses with a Black Business Accelerator, and we've created a $2 billion housing equity fund aimed at preserving and creating more than 20,000 affordable homes for families in the Puget Sound, Arlington, and Nashville region. This is a pretty remarkable amount of impact in the world, and we've just got started." And let's take a look at Andy Jassy's word while confronting these overwhelming issues. "I want to remind us all about the role Amazon continues to play in the world. It's pretty extraordinary. We ship and deliver tens of millions of packages to customers every day. That's when there isn't a pandemic. During the pandemic, that number meaningfully increased as we helped so many people getting their needs of PPE, groceries, and other essential items while so many physical stores were closed. We created 500,000 jobs last year and have continued to lead the way in raising starting wages to at least $15 in the US. Many companies have followed, and we hope many more will." So now, it falls to Jassy to continue Amazon's track record of invention, which extended from cloud computing and smart speakers to the heavily automated warehouses that enable one-day shipping. He will dictate Amazon's response to regulators around the world for proving whether big US tech companies have become too powerful. and he will have the task of seeing through the Bezos' recent pledge the company will do better by employees, a declaration that followed the year unresting the company's warehouses and occasionally at the Seattle headquarters. Just days before Jassy took the helm at Amazon, the company added 2 new items to its sacrosanct leadership principles. There were basically, treat employees well and be humble and thoughtful about the impact of the action outside Amazon. Let's take a look at it in detail. Number 15. Strive to be the earth's best employer. Number 16. Success and scale bring broad responsibility. Andy Jassy, the new CEO, finished his letter by saying that, "I'm looking forward to pursuing the adventure together. I'm also supporting their adventure from now on, hoping for the very new day one." Thank you so much for watching my video, and please subscribe to my channel and share your thumbs up. I will hop around the world and bring lots of thousands of funny stories to you guys. And see you again. Bye!